I'm Sarah, welcome to my channel. I'm a fabric lover and upcycler. If you love sewing and want to make something fabulous, stick around. So today's project is going to be making this really cute crossbody bag. My friend asked me to make her this bag because she needs to carry around as a teacher a journal and an iPad. So I did two sections divided there in this bag to put the iPad and journal book in. It's fastened with a cute little twist lock there. I also added a couple of pen holders just on the side, just to slide a couple of pens in, and D-rings so that she can attach either a shoulder strap or a crossbody strap. So it's a really cute little bag. I'll show you how to make it. Let's get started. So this is what she wants me to make. Basically a satchel style bag. I'm going to put a closure on the front there, which is the flap, and then she wants it just as a satchel style with two compartments inside, so basically split down the middle, and then she wants to put an iPad in one side and a journal in the other side, so that there's basically a pocket for each of the items. So I need to draw out the pattern pieces, so I'm going to need a front and a back the same. I'm going to need a flap to go on to the back, and then I'm going to need a gusset all the way around the sides and the bottom, and then some sort of closure probably on the inside as well, maybe a zipper across the inside before you put the flap over. So I just need to draw out the size of all the pattern pieces now. So I've drawn the measurements that she wanted, which was 8.5 by 11 of the actual size of both of the items. So then I've added a seam allowance all the way around as well, so it comes out at 9.5 and 12 inches for the back and the front, for the outer fabric and the lining. I now need to measure the gusset, which is obviously going to be on the seam allowance. So the gusset is going to be 28 centimetres, 50.5. So the gusset needs to be 78.5 centimetres, but I actually want to have little like loops that loop in over the top as well, so they need to be about 4 or 5 centimetres. So I'll add an extra 5 centimetres on each side just to make sure I've got enough to do the little flaps that go in as well. So that's going to be a plus 10 centimetres for the flaps. So that's 89 centimetres in total for the gusset, and that's an outer and liner as well. And the width of the gusset needs to be 1 3/4 inches. So that's going to be, I'll do it 5 centimetres, which is actually 2 inches. Because that gives a little bit of leeway then, because I'm going to put some padding in the form of some foam. So we'll do the gusset 2, which is 5 centimetres. So that's 89 times 5 plus the seam allowance, so 7 centimetres. So the gusset is 89 by 7 centimetres. So that's the main body of the bag done. I now need to map out how big I want the flap. Now, according to her drawing, she wanted the flap to come down to about here on the bag, just above halfway. So I need to allow for a seam allowance. So I've got 1 centimetre seam allowance. Then I've got the 5 centimetre gusset. So 5 centimetres for the gusset. And then we've got the flap, which needs to come down the bag to about there. So let's have a look and see what the measurements are on that. So if I measure down, I've got 1 centimetre for the seam allowance and 5 centimetres for the gusset, to get over the gusset from the back to the front. So that's basically how wide the bag is going to be. And then we need another, let's go 12 centimetres for the actual size of the flap. So I'm going to fold that piece of paper along that bottom mark. so that it's straight like that. So that's the size of the flap. It needs to be sort of, actually, that's probably quite a good width because I don't want it the whole width of the bag. But I need to add seam allowances to that as well. So we're going to have to draw this out again. So we need it the width of the bag ideally. So if we go into the seam allowance there and the seam allowance there, it needs to be this wide. So it needs to be the width of the bag. And it needs to come down to there. So I'm going to fold that over to the mark and then cut the paper. So this should be the size, and let's just cut off the length. So this should be the size of the flap. Obviously I haven't put any curves or anything on here yet, but that's going to get sewn into the back there, and that goes across the top of the bag, and then that comes down the front there. So I need to start shaping it from about there. So I need to start shaping it from there. So I don't know what shape I'm going to go for yet. I could go for that. She's actually wanted a more of a triangle flap, so I could go slightly straighter like that. So that's what she's asked for. So she asked for a triangle-y shaped one. That's actually quite good. So that will come down like that. That looks pretty good. I might make that just a slight bit longer. I can always shorten it. So I may add just a few centimetres onto that, just so that it's not too short. And I can judge it when I sew it on. I'm going to just do that at the moment and cut it a couple centimetres longer. So that's the basic of the bag. So we've got a back and a front, a flap, and then the gusset measurements there. So I just need to cut out some pattern pieces for this effect, and then we can start cutting the fabric. So the gusset is 89 centimetres, so I want to do it in two halves. That's 45.5 centimetres. So we want to have a seam allowance. So if we go to, 44.5, if we go to, say, 46 to be on the safe side, because this fabric has a direction. So what I don't want is one side of the gusset, the cat's looking up, and the other side of the gusset, the cat's upside down. So I want to have a seam underneath, and then we can have the cats both up the right way on both sides of the bag. So it needs to be 40 odd centimetres. So I just need to find a place where I can get 40. That's 39. Six centimetres is up to there. I can get a flap out of that as well. So we can do the gusset from here. And it needs to be 7 centimetres. So 3.5 centimetres would be the middle. Should be there. It needs to be 46 centimetres. So that's the 2 gussets cut. Fold this one in half. This is a flap, just so that I can get half a cat face going down through there. Around the piece. Next cut along. So that's the other flap. So we have the inside and the underneath flap that will go like that. Because I'm having 2 sections inside, I'm going to need 4 bits of lining. So that's 4 bits of lining for the 2 sections, 2 for each section. So I've cut everything out. We have the flap on the outside and the flap on the inside. We have front and back lining. Then we have the separator for the centre of the bag to split the 2 compartments in half. We have the gusset, which once I've sewn together at the bottom will need to be split in half so that I can put the separator in the middle and then put the other lining on the outside so that I have 2 compartments. We have the gusset for the main body in the cat material, which needs to just be joined at the bottom and then make little tabs at the top. We have foam to strengthen the backbone of the gusset of the bag. And then we have front and back of the main sections of the bag. I've actually put a little bit of really thick interfacing there, ready to put the twist lock that I'm going to put on to the flap, and the bottom half will be on there. So it's all ready to go and ready to sew. So I've sorted out the hardware that I'm going to use. I'm just going to use this little twist lock, which is like the mulberry locks, which is just basically like that. So that goes onto the bag and that goes onto the flap. So I'm going to start by sewing the flap. So I just need to sew around the bottom 4, leave that top open because that's going to be sewn to the back. So I'll sew around that, turn it in the right way, top stitch it, and then attach the twist lock, the one with a hole in, because I need to cut a little hole in there as well. I'm also going to sew the gussets together at the bottom, both of them, the outer one and the lining, and then I'll cut down through the lining to separate it, and then I can start on the construction of the bag. So I need to make sure that it's straight and in the middle, and then I need to make holes for the screws to go through. Right, so I can't push the screw through the hole, so I'm actually going to cut a hole with my cutter to make it a bit easier to get the screw into. There's a screw head through there. So there we go, just get rid of that little bit of fluff on there. And there we have the flap done. So I've basted the foam and the outer gusset together because I want this to have a little bit more body so that it's like the structure of the bag. I'm now going to mark the centre front and centre back at the bottom so that I can line that up with the seam on the gusset. So just fold it in half and mark the centre. So that's the centre of the back and the front. So what I need to do is line up right sides together. Just cut these straggly ends off so they don't get sewn into the seam. Right, so I need to line up right sides together, that seam and that mark. And then we need to put the gusset in. You can do it at the corner, is just cut it very slightly. Make sure you don't go into the seam allowance on the cut because you'll need to sew that around the corner like that. And then up the side. It will be longer because I want to have the little flaps at the top that fold over at the top of the bag because I'm not going to put a zip fastening in it. So we just need to sew up to about 1.5 centimetres from the top. So if we just mark, I'm going to sew up to there. This bit of the flap will be sewn to the lining just to make a little flap just at the top there that will then fold over into the inside of the bag when you bring the front flap over the top like that. Right, I'm just going to change my foot actually to sew the gusset on, and this is Genome's secret weapon. It's the AccuFeed foot. Basically it's like a walking foot, only miles better. So I'm going to actually put this on to sew it. There's that sewn in, all nice and neat. So I've sewn the basic shell of the outside of the bag, and I've just realised on this side I was going to put a little pocket to put pens in. So I'm just going to have to unpick these two sides and then insert the pocket on the side there, which is a little bit annoying. I might do it on that side actually because that's got less caps. This is the pocket, so I'm going to sew the pocket into one side of the side like that. So I'm going to put a pen in it so that I can actually see how fat I need the loops to be to actually fit pens in. Hopefully I'll be able to fit 3, but it might only be 2. But we'll see how I get on. But I'm going to start by just sewing up through one side just to secure it into the gusset there. So I've just sewn down one side of the gusset with the pocket, and then I put 2 pens in. So I know I need to leave a loop to be able to fit the pen in. So I can just put a pin in the middle of the gusset there just to secure that, and then put another pin on the edge of the gusset there just to secure that, so that I've got little pockets for the pens to actually sit in on the side pocket. So I've added a pen holder on the side there, so you can see pen fits in there nicely, just got covered in ink. I've also added the loops for the D-rings to attach the crossbody bag on both sides as well, and also added my little logo there, and then I've got a little stack of cats down the side which is dead cute. So I've just started on the lining. The two bits of the gusset that I'd basically cut in half. Oops, I've sewn that one in. I basically sewn to the middle sectioning bit of the bag. I'm now going to sew the other bits, which are the back and front lining, to this as well, on these parts of the gusset. So basically you'll have a bag in a bag, and then these bits that are sticking up will be sewn to the outer gusset that's sticking up, which will form tabs that will basically fold over once the bag is closed. So I just need to unpick that there where I've sewn that in inadvertently. Make sure the other side, yeah, the other side is fine. I haven't sewn that in, so that forms the nice corner. So I just need to unpick that little bit there, re-stitch that, and then attach the front and the back linings. So before I attach the back and front linings, I've just sewn a little Red Cat label in there. I made these myself. This is just normal gold vinyl, and I heat pressed t-shirt transfer vinyl that was printed with my Red Cat label. There's a video actually on my channel that shows you exactly how you can make your own little sort of leather looking ish labels, and they're really cute to put in bags. Wow, so this ended up getting really complicated. So I sewed around the two little tabs and the front to start with. Then I realised I didn't have to have the hole in the bottom of the lining, so I sewed that up so the lining was whole and attached on the sides and the front. I then dropped the lining in and folded it over and actually sewed it into the back along that seam there, and it's actually finished that seam off really nicely now. We have two compartments in the bag to separate the book and the iPad. We have tabs, but they're a little bit stiff. I probably shouldn't have put the foam in them, but the sides are actually giving it a really good shape. And I remembered to put the twist lock on before I sewed everything up as well, because I almost forgot that on the front there. But once it's been steamed into shape, it actually looks pretty good. It's actually quite a good robust bag with the pen holders on that side for pens. So 2 pens on the side there. It's got the loops to actually attach across body strap or a shoulder strap, whichever you want. The twist lock works really well and is really secure. So when you've got weight in the bag, a popper or a press stud might have come open, but the twist lock will make it really, you won't be able to get that open at all, and with weight in the bag. So it's turned out pretty good for a made-up pattern. Looks pretty professional, and I hope she'll be really pleased with her new iPad and journal bag. If you loved watching this video, please click like below. Also, I'd love you to subscribe to my channel. I do loads of different sewing projects, mainly upcycling, but also I sew bags. So why not subscribe? And I'll see you guys later.